Now, everyone, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. How you like the taste of Thai coffee and tea? Like it? Brilliant. So now we can happily proceed on to the second session of the conference today. Now, in this session, we'll touch upon the depth of the strategies and roles of the three outstanding Asia-based international development organizations, starting with the Yunus Center of Bangladesh, and followed by the Chuji Foundation of Taiwan, and then thirdly, the Luang Foundation of Thailand. And each presentation will take approximately 10 minutes to provide you the core information before we proceed to the panel discussion on the topic of perspective on sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, before we commence, may I wish to request humbly to your kind cooperation to fill in the questionnaire, finding at your seat, and to return it before lunch break. Thank you very much. The first presentation will be by Ms.Lamiya Morshed, the Executive Director from Yunus Center, Dhaka, Bangladesh, the global hub for social business activities of Nobel laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus. In addition to her responsibilities at Yunus Center, she also served as the Managing Director of Grameen Healthcare Trust. Mrs. Morshed served as a board member of the following social businesses: Grameen Healthcare Services Limited, Grameen Creative Lab, Germany, Grameen Intel, Grameen Uniqlo, and Japan Auto Mechanic Company Limited. And she also served as the board director of Grameen Trust, Professor Muhammad Yunus Trust, Yunus Family Trust, as well as the Yunus Social Business in Albania. And she is also a member of Management Committee of Grameen Caledonian College of Nursing, or GCCN, a joint venture nursing college established by Grameen Healthcare Trust and Glasgow Caledonian University in Scotland. She also served on the advisory board of Make Sense, a Paris-based youth organization working for social change, and as a director on the board of Yunus and Youth, a youth organization promoting social business around the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hand together to welcome Mrs. Lamia Morshed to kindly proceed on the stage to make the first presentation.
Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to begin by thanking you to invite me to present at the Sustainability Development Challenges in Asia Conference. In particular, I would like to thank the Institute of Asian Studies of Chulalongkorn University and the Royal Thai Embassy in Dhaka for enabling my participation. This conference is organized on the most auspicious occasion to mark 70 years since the ascension of the throne of His Majesty the King. This is an honor and a privilege for me to be here to partake in these discussions. Nobel laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus had been invited to be here today, but for another commitment, he couldn't be here. But he conveys his heartiest congratulations to His Majesty the King on this wonderful occasion, and to all of you here who have come to discuss the very critical issues of sustainable development in Asia. As His Majesty has always espoused and promoted through his 70-year reign, we cannot have development without sustainability. The world now recognizes that. As our keynote earlier this morning said, in September 2015, the UN adopted the Sustainable Development Goals, 17 very bold goals and 169 targets around which the world could be united. This provides a framework of action for all of us, governments, the private sector, NGO foundations, and all of us as individuals to work towards. We may say that the goals such as zero poverty and zero hunger are unrealistic, but many countries have achieved the halving of that poverty goal and the hunger goal by 2015 as part of the Millennium Development Goals. So it is therefore foreseeable that this can be brought to zero. We must have a clear destination to guide us. Many of the goals that are laid out have been central to the work that we've been doing in Bangladesh through Grameen and now Yunus Center. And sustainability has always been at the core of every activity that we have undertaken. I will talk about the approach that we have been working on, both in terms of philosophical underpinnings, but also mentioning practical aspects, which are now also being followed around the world and which may also have relevance for Thailand in its pursuit of sustainable development as put forward by His Majesty the King. Thank you again for having me here. So basically the work of Grameen Bank and over 40 years in Bangladesh has led us to believe certain things about the way the world works today. One is that poverty is not created by people, but is created by the policies and institutions that we have built. If given the opportunity, the poor will change their own lives, not through charity, but through their own efforts and in a sustainable manner. The other thing that we have seen is that the global economic system currently only recognizes one type of business. That means the current economic theory, the one to make money, to make personal money. The economic theory postulates that the economic actor is motivated by the desire to maximize profit from him or herself. So the experience that we have is that actually human beings are not just selfish beings as postulated by the economic theory, but they're also selfless as well. But that selflessness does not have the possibility of being played out in the global marketplace. If we could bring selflessness into play, we say that the economic marketplace would look very different. And this is where we bring in the concept of social business, which is what we are working on. We have a very clear definition when we talk about social business. It's a selfless business, a non-dividend company that solves human problems. People will say, why would someone engage in a business that doesn't yield personal profit? And I'd like to quote Professor Yunus here, because he says, making money is happiness, but making other people is a super happiness. And why don't we put that incentive at the heart of business? So we have a clear set of principles, because we think that, we think that it's very clear to define what we're talking about, because there's a lot of vagueness around the ideas of social business and social enterprise and social CSR and sustainable business of different kinds. So we have a very clear set of definitions when we talk about social business. One is that it has a very clear business objective to overcome a predetermined social problem. It can be poverty related, it can be related to an economic issue, an environmental issue, it can be to do with providing clean water, related to healthcare, so clear, defined objective. Second is that it is a business. It has to be financially and economically sustainable, otherwise it's not a business. Third, so people invest in it, they can get their investment money back during a defined period of time, but nothing beyond that. Any profits made beyond that stay within the company. 4, when the investment company money is paid back, as I said, the profits are used to grow that business, to reach more people with a product and service that benefits them, and also for expansion and improvement of the product or service. Finally, 5th, it has to be gender sensitive and environmentally conscious. 6th, we say that the workforce, it's a business, we need good management talent, so the workforce will get market wages, and we would argue that there would be better working conditions because the work brings us satisfaction. And finally, and this is last and not least, is that we do it with joy. We are motivated by the desire to help other people and to help society, and that is our 7th principle. So why business? Because charity, which we have had since time immemorial, is a wonderful thing, but a charity dollar has one life. It goes out, it does the work, but doesn't come back. A social business dollar, if it's done properly, will live endlessly. It recycles endlessly and can grow. So I wanted to say that, so the idea of social business didn't come about overnight. It's basically an evolution of the work we have done in Bangladesh. People know the story of Grameen Bank. In 1976, Professor Yunus started out by giving small amounts of money to poor people in the villages of Bangladesh to help them support their income-generating activities. People said this could not be done, but today it's a huge nationwide bank in Bangladesh. It's owned by the poor people, by poor women. It's reaching, I'll go over the statistics in a moment. And that was basically our first social business. Over the years, as Grameen Bank progressed in providing financial services to the poorest, there were many other social needs that the rural people had. And each time, Professor Yunus and his colleagues created a separate entity to address that social issue. And each time, it was a sustainable business. And each time, so for example, there are 50 such companies in Bangladesh today, but Professor Yunus, as the initiator of them, he does not own a single share in any of them. So it's a business, but it's not about making money personally for the shareholders. And so these, we call these companies the precursors to social business, and it led to the creation of social businesses, which are deliberately created organizations that solve social problems. This is what Grameen Bank looks like today. So from that initial $27 to 42 people in the villages of Bangladesh, it's now reaching 8.8 million families, 97% of whom are women. The bank has loaned out $19 billion to date. The loans outstanding are $1.3 billion. The recovery rate is 98% still, and this has been the kind of average over the 40-year history of Grameen Bank. The total deposits that the poor people hold within the bank totals $2.3 billion. We have built 700,000 houses through the housing loans that the bank provides. In addition, the bank provides education loans and scholarships to the children of the Grameen families. And it's now operating in 81,000 villages of Bangladesh, which is virtually the entire country. So this is the first social business. These are some pictures from that. But this has led to the creation of several social businesses in Bangladesh, and I will focus on maybe one or two, and then maybe during our discussion I'll have a chance to talk about some of the other ones. Some of them are created as a joint venture partnership with a private global company. So the famous one is the one we have with Danone of France, and the company basically set itself to address the issue of child malnutrition. And the way it did this was to create a special yogurt which contains the micronutrients that are missing in the diets of the children of rural Bangladesh. Grameen and Danone have both invested in the company, but both by agreement will never take out dividends from it. The entire focus of the business is to target children to have this yogurt as a way to tackle malnutrition. So this is the special yogurt, and neither side will take a dividend. It uses innovative marketing and distribution means. One of the things it does is to have the women, the Grameen Bank borrowers, go door to door to the homes of villagers around Bangladesh to sell this yogurt, explaining to the families why this cup of yogurt is better for their health than maybe a packet of chips or a packet of cookies that costs around the same thing. And these are some pictures from that. So that's what the yogurt looks like. You can see the ladies going around selling the yogurt in the villages. The important thing is that it's not free. People pay for this, but that's only so that the business can keep on going. So we reached operational break-even in 2015, and since we are not looking at the shareholder value as the way to gauge the success of the company, we have to look at what has taken place in terms of the impact. And so Johns Hopkins did an independent study over a 1-year period of children ages 6 to 9 who were taking this yogurt versus a control group of children ages 6 to 9 who were taking another non-fortified yogurt. And basically, at the end of 1 year, for kids who were taking this every day, it showed that the kids who were taking the yogurt were performing better on cognitive tests and had a better measure both in terms of height and mid-arm circumference. So the point here is that since we are not looking as personal profit making as being the measure of success, we have to build in an impact indicator to look at what is our success. The second social business that I will focus on, and then the rest I will just skim over, is the Grameen Eye Care Hospitals. This is not a joint venture with an international company. It's a standalone social business that we established. And it's basically providing eye treatment on a sustainable basis to the poor communities, mainly focused on eye checks, but cataract operations at an affordable rate. And basically, it works on a cross-subsidy way, so the people at the top pay a premium, people who can will pay according to what they can afford, and those at the bottom don't pay anything at all. But overall, the business is, this is the four hospitals that we've created in 4 regions of Bangladesh. 850,000 patients have been served so far, 50% coming from the poor families. It was the first social business within our group of companies to break even, and it focuses mainly on eye exams and cataract surgeries. So you can see here that each of the units broke even. So now the power of this is that it can basically continue to grow on the basis of its own resources. So these are some pictures from the eye care hospital. So I won't go into the other ones because it'll be too long. We have a nursing college that's based on the social business principles. We have BSF Grameen, which is a joint venture with a German company that's producing long-lasting insecticidal nets, also as a social business. People pay for it, and it helps tackle mosquito-borne diseases. The interesting thing is that all the companies have signed here that they will never take dividends to it, and they have also invested their proprietary technology in implementing the social business. We have another social business with Veolia, which is treating surface water in an area where the groundwater is contaminated with arsenic, which is a very widespread problem in Bangladesh, and providing also in a cross-subsidized way treated water at a higher price to those who can afford it, and people providing it at a lower price to those at the bottom who can't pay that much. There's a Grameen Intel. This is with the US-based company Intel that you may have heard of, and it's basically working together to create technological devices and technological apps to apply to the social problems that we see. And the point is that if you're looking at a problem through the problem-solving lens rather than the profit-making lens, then you come up with a very different model of how you will do the business. The board, the management, the staff are all focused on solving the social problem, and they will be their success will be measured on the basis of that. So these are some of the examples that we have in Bangladesh, and we're basically saying that this has created interest around the world as well, and what are the elements that we need in order to scale up these types of initiatives. So one is, of course, awareness, and that is that we introduce into school and college curricula about an alternative way to do business. If it's not in the education, then people don't know that this is an option for them. It's a different way. People are very trained, the young people of Bangladesh are very trained to come out and work for the biggest multinational company out there. So this is something that's happening, and I will touch on that a little bit later. We have social business competitions where we engage young people to come up with social business ideas and link that to investment financing. This is also happening both in Bangladesh and abroad. We have something called Design Lab, which is a platform where entrepreneurs come together to present their business plans and where experts will give feedback on the design of those businesses and also pledge investment. And this is also being replicated. Funds. People say that where will a big company like Danone may have lots of extra cash to put into a company like this without the desire to make money. But what about a startup? So what's happening now, both in Bangladesh and around the world, is that we are creating special funds that will finance both in terms of loans, equity, to finance social businesses that aim to solve a social problem. And then we have global and regional events. Again, I'll touch on this a bit later. So this social business fund is a key part. In Bangladesh, we have Grameen Telecom Trust. It's using the profits of the largest telephone operator in Bangladesh, of which Grameen is a part owner, to invest into social businesses. And YSB is another organization based out of Germany, Yunus Social Business, that's creating these specialized funds to provide the initial capital and the scale-up capital to fund social businesses. So the funds themselves operate a social business. That means the investors do not get any dividends beyond recouping their initial investment. This is the Social Business Design Lab. This is a platform also that's being replicated in other countries, which is something that we've been doing to generate new social businesses from outside the Grameen remit. So independent entrepreneurs and business people who want to do social business can come in. So in Bangladesh, to date, in the last 3 years, we have had generated 5,700 social businesses. So the approved projects, those that are operational, and those that are in the pipeline, and those that need to be reworked and relaunched. So these are a couple of examples of social businesses that are not run by us, but which are being created independently. So one project to address affordable sanitary napkins for young women in the villages of Bangladesh. So this is an independent company that is invested in creating this, sustainable, but not intended to make personal profit. This is another one, mustard oil, which is a healthy edible oil in Bangladesh. Again, here, one of the social objectives is to employ people from indigenous communities who are more marginalized than the mainstream Bangla communities. And then this is the last aspect that I will focus on is a major program that Grameen is now implementing, which is focused on the second generation of the Grameen families. We found that the children of the Grameen families are coming out and being educated to a very high level, but that they are running after jobs that don't exist in Bangladesh. So Grameen challenged them to become entrepreneurs. They said that, your mother did not struggle 30 years, so you would be going around to beg for jobs that don't exist. We will provide the startup money for you to start up your own business. And Professor Yunus has told them that you should look at yourself and say, I'm not a job seeker, I'm a job creator, and become an entrepreneur. In the last 3 years, through the Social Business Design Lab, we have financed 5,000 young entrepreneurs coming out of Grameen families to start their own businesses. One of the attractive features about this is that it's not focused in the cities. They go back usually to the areas that they come from. They create employment for themselves, and ultimately they create employment for others. So this is something that we have been saying that the young people should do, and that this is creates this change in mentality from being a job seeker to a job creator. It's all over Bangladesh. There are 4 Grameen companies that are financing these projects. And this is the process that the new entrepreneur is selected, their business plans are analyzed, they're presented at the design lab and approved for funding, and then on an ongoing basis they report on the basis of daily SMSs to a central server that we manage in Dhaka, and that they are then followed up on a regular basis. And this graphs here kind of show how it's been growing. So it's in the sector of handicrafts, agriculture, animal husbandry, fisheries, services, transportation, microbusiness, shopkeeping, factories, and so on. It's still very much based on young men. We are focused very much on trying to get young women involved in this, and this is one of the things that we are monitoring to see how this can be increased. The interesting thing about this is that the fund is a social business. That means the fund is putting in the equity into these young people's business without any intention of making money from them. We put in a certain amount, they put in a certain amount. At the end of a preset period, they return our money and become the full owner of the business. For them, the business is a for-profit business, and it's basically solving the issue of unemployment for them and for others around them. And this is creating a virtuous cycle of increasing jobs in the rural areas. So these are a couple of examples of the type. It's a very small amount of money, 50,000, 100,000 takas, which is, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. But there's no institution in the country, no financial institution, even with all our microcredit, that will lend this money to them without all kinds of very elaborate requirements. So we said we create a fund, and our job is to provide them the opportunity to become entrepreneurs and business owners. So this is a picture of the design lab that we have every month. Professor Yunus chairs it, and a lot of the projects are coming out from that lab. It's grown across the world now. We are operating in 10 countries where we create a fund, and we create an accelerator to generate the projects into which the fund will finance. This is a map that shows our activities around the world, and an interesting map that shows the partner universities. We have 30 such universities around the world where they're introducing social business into their curricula. And the main idea is that young people then know that they have a different type of business that they can get involved with, which is not about making personal money for themselves. We have a partner here in Thailand. We partner with Asian Institute of Technology. We have a Yunus center there. It's been operating for some years. My colleagues from there are also here today. And they have been working on promoting this concept in Thailand. So these are the universities, 34 universities, and 22 having social business centers. And finally, we have an online resource for those who are interested in learning about social business. It's a one-stop platform called socialbusinesspedia.com, where you can find every information about what is happening in this field, both in Bangladesh and internationally, in terms of universities, in terms of resources, and so on. In the context of the 17 UN Global Goals, yes, this is a very powerful framework of action for all of us, and it's been the MDGs were central to the work that we do, and we have also adopted to implement the 17 new goals through our work. Professor Yunus is actually focusing on 3 particular ones: zero poverty, zero unemployment, and zero net carbon emission. So these, for us, for the Grameen and Yunus Center, these are the 3 goals that we are focusing on, because we don't think either poverty needs to exist, unemployment doesn't need to exist. It's an artificial concept imposed on people. Our initiatives through the New Entrepreneurs Program show that unemployment is an artificial concept that we've imposed on people. It doesn't exist within people. So zero unemployment and zero net carbon emissions, which everyone agreed last December in Paris, is something that is endangering the one habitat that we all have as a human family, and that is something that has to underpin everything that we do. So as a concluding note, we say that when we delink the idea of personal profit from business, it becomes all about using our creativity and all of our energies to solve the human problems. And this is at the core, I think, of what every human being is about. And if we can focus our energies in this way, we don't think there's any social problem that cannot be addressed and overcome, not even the bold goals of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Social business does not replace either conventional business or charity. Each has a place and is important. But we can create something in between, which is social business, which gives people one more option. Thank you very much.
Ms.Lamiya Morshed. That's so very informative indeed. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. And of course, the full moral support from all of us for you to reach the 3 zero destinations as soon as possible. That's the mainstream of development taking place in Bangladesh, ladies and gentlemen.